Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
All right. Which are 2-3 points of which I'd like to clarify. As the head of the department, I have to convey you a few messages. One of them is that from now onwards, you will be having monthly tests, which will be regarding the systems or the topics which will be allotted to you or which have been taught to you in the previous month. Tests हम कैसे conduct करते हैं वो हम आपको later clarify कर देंगे या convey कर देंगे. Till the time college properly open nahi hota, but there will be monthly tests definitely. Secondly, few things as per aapko third year, you are coming from third year, you have an idea how the pathology works, but in this fourth year we'll be dealing with systems in a more elaborate manner, and you are supposed, apart from the what as the name describes it, special pathology, you need to know each system pathology in a more detailed manner. We'll appreciate, because definitely this system is new for us. Previously we have not been teaching like the online more frequently, but still we'll try to manage. So agar aap logo ko koi bhi issue hoga, one of your class representatives, I will appreciate agar aap log apna please mics mute kar dein. Baki log one or other person class representative can respond me back if there is an issue regarding sharing voices. Okay, now what we'll start today with, as I indicated, we've started with the lecture one is from the gastrointestinal tract. We'll be covering subjects like congenital abnormalities affecting gastrointestinal tract. Then we'll be dealing with few of these abnormalities which are pretty common, that is atrasias, fistula, duplication. We'll go through what are hernias, what are ectopic lesions, and 3 of the very important and significant diseases affecting the GIT, which are usually since birth or occurring in the early age, that is Meckel's diverticulum, pyloric stenosis, and Hirschsprung disease. Thoda sa overview of the chapter, overview of the lecture is that the first 3 parts, that is congenital abnormalities, atrasias, and hernias, etc. These are to be known by you in quite an overview. You do not need to know them very elaborately, but you should be very familiar with the terms. They're frequently asked in vivas and comes in MCQs. But regarding the later 3 topics, that is Meckel's diverticulum, pyloric stenosis, and Hirschsprung disease, you need to know in greater detail. They can be frequently coming in SCQs. You may be getting cases in your ward regarding them, so you need to know them in an elaborate manner. We'll start with the congenital abnormalities, which include atrasia, fistula, and duplications. So instead of putting a lot of text, I have pasted a few diagrams. These are from your book, nothing different. It is all from your Robbins text pathology. And these represent what are the lesions. So in first, if you can follow my arrow, there's a tube system. This is the trachea. Reference के लिए trachea है. Esophagus lies ahead of it. ये sorry, at the back of it. Esophagus के बीच में अगर आप देखें, the tubule, the tube, the lumen is getting shrinked and it is forming this kind of a string-like an appearance. So it is actually occluding the food to go through the other part. This kind of closure is known as atrasia. So any hollow organ, any hollow tube-like organ.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. आपकी slides move नहीं कर रही.
मैं move कर ही नहीं.
slide पे ही है. ये अभी तक first पे ही है.
मैं दोबारा आपको देखती हूँ. अब आपको नजर आ रहा है congenital abnormalities की diagrams?
No, ma'am. अभी तक first slide ही show हो रही है.
ऐसे करते हैं कि मैं दोबारा share these which are including atrasia, fistula, and duplication. These are the diagrammatic representation of these lesions. In atrasia, there is a constriction between the tube-like or hollow organ. This atrasias are frequently common in esophagus, but this atrasia is this closure abnormality is the most common site of occurrence is anus, which is known as imperforate anus. So the other thing is fistula. What is fistula? It is an abnormal communication between 2 epithelial surfaces. In this diagram, you can see that आपको esophagus is ending into a blind kind of a pouch, and another entry is the esophagus is attaching or opening into trachea. So trachea is one epithelial surface which is lined by columnar epithelium, and second is esophagus, which is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. So what is a fistula? Abnormal communication between two epithelial surfaces. Tracheoesophageal fistula is a pretty common, not a pretty common, but is one of the common kind of lesions which may occur congenitally or at early age. Duplication, a structure can duplicate more than one, presence of more than one structure of GIT, it's simply known as duplication. You do not need to know very detail regarding these lesions, but just आपको एक familiarity yes होना चाहिए. You should know कि ये terms का क्या मतलब. Please let me know. Can you see the another slide? The next slide, is it moving? Duodenal atresia आप देख सकते हैं?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. So atresia, duodenal atresia is another common lesion जहाँ पे esophagus के बाद duodenum के first or second part में there is stricture kind of a presence and an abnormal tightness in the wall of the duodenum. It is known as duodenal atresia. Next comes the topics like diaphragmatic hernia, omphalocele and gastroschisis and ectopias. इनको भी हम one by one discuss करेंगे. Diaphragmatic hernia, actually the hernia should separate the thoracic and abdominal cavity entirely. There should not be a communication between thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. We call something a diaphragmatic hernia when there is kind of defect in diaphragm and it lets the abdominal cavity organs allow them to herniate. Herniate means to protrude into thoracic cavity. If this is a minor kind of a defect, it may not cause excessive symptoms, but if there is a larger defect, abnormal amount of abdominal contents push themselves or protrude or herniate themselves into thoracic cavity. So in early births or in young kids or infants, it can cause pulmonary hypoplasia, which is a life incompatible kind of incompatible with life after birth. So it is a severe consequence of diaphragmatic hernia. But other than that, diaphragmatic hernia can occur in other age groups as well. This is how a large diaphragmatic hernia works. आपको एक lung नजर आ रहा है, the other lung is being pushed to the side because this brown, which in color, which indicates diaphragm, has a defect, this defect, and is allowing stomach and all the gut to pass into lung space or thoracic cavity. Then comes the term of omphalocele and gastroschisis. These are basically abnormal closures of abdominal muscle, which allow the abdominal viscera to herniate in ventral membrane sac that is below the skin or below the rectus sheath muscle. If it is basically in दोनों की shape और covering में फर्क है. Omphalocele, the abdominal contents protrude but are sealed in a kind of a membrane which formed by the peritoneum and forms an O shape. If you can see my hand in the picture, it's like this. They protrude but they are being sealed by peritoneum. Gastroschisis is when they are not entirely sealed by peritoneum and some of them are still allowed to leak towards the ventral membrane sac or towards the outer abdominal anterior surface. Again, इनकी भी आपको सिर्फ terms के साथ familiarity होनी चाहिए. These can be asked in vivas and can come in MCQs. Now comes the topic of ectopia. This is for all practical reasons and for all theory reasons. You need to know, be familiar with these terms in a rather elaborate manner. The ectopic tissue, what does an ectopia or ectopic tissue means? It actually means something is located at an abnormal place. There may not be anything wrong with the tissue. It may not be inflamed. It may not be malignant. It may not be anything. It may be just in a normal tissue, but it is located at an abnormal place. So here comes a term which is quite closely related, similar to it, but इनके meanings आपको understand करने की जरूरत है. आपने third year में पढ़ा होगा. One thing is hematoma and another thing is ectopia. So what is hematoma? Hematoma is something which is a normal tissue but not organized very well, but the location is similar जहाँ पे उसको होना चाहिए था. But what is an ectopia? It is the presence of normal tissue but an abnormal site. So in GIT, ectopic tissues are quite common. In esophagus and stomach, you can frequently see ectopic tissue. The most common thing is ectopic gastric mucosa, which occurs in esophagus. So it is known as, referred as inlet patch. आपके esophagus का काम क्या होता है? It is basically to pass the food from oral cavity into stomach. It is usually covered with stratified squamous mucosa in upper 2/3 parts and kind of a little columnar mucosa in the lower end. But and gastric mucosa is a very specialized stroma, a specialized mucosa. It has very different kind of a picture. So a part of gastric mucosa deposits or is present in an abnormal site in upper esophagus, which can be identified endoscopically and confirmed microscopically. We call it as inlet patch. It can be asymptomatic or it can cause symptoms like dysphagia, inflammation of esophagus, that is esophagitis, Barrett's esophagus. We'll read what it is. And rarely adenocarcinoma. To date, I haven't seen any adenocarcinoma arising in ectopic gastric mucosa, but for all theoretical purposes, it can occur. Another thing which is very common ectopic tissue is ectopic pancreatic tissue. So this is basically pancreas, mucosa or pancreas, acini and ducts. A patch of it can occur in esophagus, but more commonly in stomach and sometimes in diverticulars, or we'll read what are diverticulars occurring in the large or small bowel. So like inlet patches, ectopic nodules can be numerous, can be asymptomatic and can produce damage or local inflammation. When ectopic pancreatic tissue is present in pylorus, inflammation and scarring may lead to obstruction. Another thing which gastric heterotopias can be small patches of gastric mucosa in small bowel or colon, but this is infrequent. The more common one is the pancreatic ectopic tissue in the stomach and gastric ectopic tissue in esophagus. Now these were the terms which you need to know. I can kind of tell you the papers में बहुत frequently MCQs में और उसमें inlet patch का word बहुत commonly use होता है. So please be familiar with it that inlet patch means ectopic gastric tissue occurring in esophagus. Now we'll come to a detailed topic, that is Meckel's diverticulum. ये बेटे बहुत important है. Why? Because you'll be seeing cases in your wards. Onward, you have to be very familiar with it. ये आता रहेगा. Pathology में भी important है. Clinical site के लिए भी important है. So there are a few basic terms or few basic knowledge about it. आपको उसके साथ please थोड़ा familiar होना पड़ेगा. What is Meckel's diverticulum? Diverticulum actually means an outpouching. There is a tube-like organ which is going through, and the whole segment or whole wall of the tubular organ protrudes or outpouches through its normal space. That is known as diverticulum. There can be several diverticulums. Sigmoid colon can have numerous diverticulum. In that case, the disease is known as diverticulosis. If it gets inflamed, it is diverticulitis. But one particular diverticulum in the alimentary tract is very important and is of great clinical significance and is known as Meckel's diverticulum. So what is Meckel's diverticulum? It is a blind outpouching of alimentary tract that communicates with lumen and includes all three layers of bowel wall. So basically bowel wall का जो mucosa, muscle और serosa, वो तीनों इसके साथ ही होंगे. It is a significant, that is why it is called diverticulum or outpouching. For Meckel's diverticulum, there is a famous rule of twos. ये हमने नहीं नाम रखा, ये किताब कहती है, and you all have to know it. It is being asked very frequently. Rule of two. The first part of rule of two is it occurs approximately in 2% of population. So it affects 2% of population, number one. It generally represents within 2 feet, that is 60 centimeter of ileocecal valve. ठीक है, ileocecal valve approximately 2 feet के दरमियान. It is twice as common in males and are most often symptomatic by the age of 2. और symptomatic total अगर 100 Meckel's diverticulum है तो उनमें से सिर्फ 4 जो हैं वो symptomatic होंगे. So let's repeat the rule of 2. Rule of 2 is number 1 for Meckel's diverticulum. 2% population, 2 feet of ileocecal valve within the proximity of 2 feet, 2 inches long, twice common in males, and by the age of 2, most are symptomatic. So this is the Meckel's diverticulum. अगर ये small bowel या ileocecal valve के पीछे small bowel move कर रही थी, so this is an out pouching जो इसी wall की सारी layers को incorporate कर रही है, that is mucosa, muscle and serosa, and it is a blind out pouching, so it does not communicate. What if it communicates with some other tube या organ, or what will it become? It will become a fistula. अभी आपको हमने बताया था कि अगर fistula दो abnormal epithelial surfaces के बीच में abnormal connection है. So Meckel's या diverticulum में difference क्या है? Diverticulum is blind out pouching. It does not communicate with any other organ or epithelial surface. Has all 3 layers of this bowel wall. Is 2 inches long within the 2 feet region of ileocecal valve. Twice common in males, 2% are symptomatic. So these are all the features which are known as rule of 2 for Meckel's diverticulum. What is basically the treatment? अगर symptomatic हो तो उसको exercise कर देते हैं, gut के portion को निकाल देते हैं. Sometimes in Meckel's diverticulum के अंदर भी जो है आपको ectopic pancreatic tissue और ectopic gastric tissue मिल जाता है. If it is not symptomatic or कोई issue, usually ये accidental किस्म की finding होती है, कोई symptom हो ही तो patient की कोई investigation के दौरान पता चलता है या किसी और surgery के दौरान that patient has Meckel's diverticulum. Next comes an important topic of pyloric stenosis. Pyloric stenosis is basically congenital hypertrophic pyloric stenosis is a disease or is a pathology which is more common in male babies and affects 300 to 900 live births. Monozygotic twins have higher rate of concordance के दोनों को affect कर रहा होगा और multifactorial pattern of inheritance है. There is no fixed gene जो इसको कोई affect करता है. Few syndromes have close association with pyloric stenosis, that is Turner syndrome and trisomy 18. And it is said that the exposure of mother to erythromycin or azithromycin during the first 2 weeks of life can increase the incidence. Congenital hypertrophic pyloric stenosis generally represents between 3rd and 6th week of life as new onset. ये important point है for a scenario which may be given in an MCQ. You will be particularly given this duration of time or birth की baby की ये वाली age होती है particularly. इसमें symptoms represent करते हैं, ये symptoms peak पे जाते हैं between 3rd to 6th week of life, and therefore pediatrician or the clinician suspects that it is pyloric stenosis. What are the symptoms which raise the query or patient को affect करते हैं? That is regurgitation, baby को वापस milk आ रहा होता है, projectile non-bilious vomiting. So basically stomach का content है जो कि projectile vomiting के through आ रहा है. Still, the baby feels hungry and asks for repeated feeding. Physical examination reveals firm ovoid abdominal mass, which is left to right with abnormal hyperperistalsis. So basically, in duodenum के region में just below the hypogastrium, जहाँ पे duodenum बच्चे का join कर रहा है, in early part of duodenum, there is an abdominal mass which is felt. It is actually not an abdominal mass because constriction है pyloric stenosis की और वहाँ पे food accumulate हो रहा होता है और there is muscle hypertrophy which leads to the presence of a mass, and there is hyperperistalsis from left to right which is abnormal during feeding and immediately before vomiting. This constellation of findings stems from बेसिकली ये कॉन्स्टलेशन ऑफ फाइंडिंग्स क्या है, 3rd to 6th वीक में प्रोजेक्टाइल वॉमिटिंग बेबी को स्टार्ट हो रही है. डिस्पाइट दिस एक्सट्रीम वॉमिटिंग, repeatedly the baby asks for feeding. On physical examination, there is an abdominal mass and abnormal left to right hyperperistalsis. So it should raise a suspicion of pyloric stenosis. अगर आपको MCQ भी हुआ तो उसमें यही सिनेरियो बना के आपको दिया जाएगा, या अगर इवन SCQ में भी आता है. So this constellation results, basically what is the underlying cause? The underlying cause is hyperplasia of pyloric muscularis propria, which obstructs gastric outlet flow tract. So the stomach has a part, uska cardia hota hai, body hoti hai, antrum, and then a tubular part which joins duodenum, that is pylorus. So pylorus and first part of duodenum, they are being affected. What happens is that the pylorus muscle, आपकी layers होती है ना, म्यूकोजा होता है, फिर सब म्यूकोजा होता है, मस्कुलरिस प्रोप्रिया होता है, and then serosa होता है. So what happens is that this smooth muscle muscularis propria, instead of being a very organized और जो एक normal physiological layers हैं, inner circular, outer longitudinal, it gets hyperplasia, बहुत ज़्यादा उसका number increase हो जाता है, which compromises the lumen of pylorus and first part of duodenum and leads to gastric outflow tract obstruction, resulting in this mass-like formation and projectile vomiting. So this is stomach. ये stomach की cardia है. This is the body. This is antrum, and when it enters or joins the duodenum, this is pylorus. So normally it should be एक जैसी uniformity होनी चाहिए, and the lumen should not be compromised like this. But here you can see there are small invaginations, which is actually the hyperplasia of muscle compromising the pylorus and resulting in pyloric stenosis. This you can see in a more zoomed picture. This is hypertrophied muscle, which is actually nearly occluding the lumen and causing the obstructive symptoms. So this is congenital hypertrophic pyloric stenosis. The treatment is surgical splitting of muscularis, myotomy, basically muscle को split कर देंगे, and it is curative. ये congenital pyloric stenosis था. Rarely there can be acquired pyloric stenosis in adults as a result of enteral gastritis or peptic ulcers. What happens is that uncommon phenomena है, बड़ों में इतना distension possible होती है कि ऐसा होता नहीं है usually, but still gastritis, बहुत ज़्यादा inflammation है. Inflammation always results in the healing. The healing causes fibrosis, and it can some way compromise the lumen and cause acquired pyloric stenosis. Carcinomas of distal stomach and pancreas may also narrow the pyloric channel due to fibrosis or malignant infiltration, but this can occur, but this is an entirely different representation. Then your concern will not be कि food pass नहीं और उससे पहले patient को और बहुत सारे symptoms आएंगे. But हाँ, carcinoma जो बहुत treated नहीं था, बहुत late exhibit किया, it can go into a size which can entirely occlude the lumen. Next comes the Hirschsprung disease. Are you with me? Can somebody please tell me कि आप slides follow कर रहे हैं and you are able to listen to me clearly?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
So thank you. Now comes the third topic. हमने अभी तक किया है one by one. हम जिन topics में आगे जा रहे हैं, Meckel's diverticulum, congenital pyloric stenosis, and now comes the Hirschsprung disease. Hirschsprung disease also clinically and theoretically for all purposes बहुत ही, अगर मैं आज के lecture में summarize करूँ तो Meckel's diverticulum 1 and number 2 Hirschsprung disease. These are very frequently encountered cases जो आपको specifically profs में exams में भी रखे जाएंगे. हम भी आपसे हर टाइम पे वाइवास में भी एग्जाम्स में भी इसको पूछेंगे. रीजन बीइंग कि प्रैक्टिकली जब आप आगे लाइफ में जाएंगे तो यू विल बी फ्रीक्वेंटली एनकाउंटर्ड विद दीस केसेस. Hirschsprung disease, it is basically a disease. हम अभी इसको डिटेल से पढ़ते हैं कि what is the underlying pathology and what is the consequence. Basically होता ये है कि एक smaller young baby or kid usually represents with constipation or certain issues related to constipation, and eventually it is thought कि इसको Hirschsprung disease. Now it usually affects 1 into 5,000 live births, not very common. The pathogenesis is बेसिकली हमारे लार्ज बावल में या हमारे एलिमेंट्री ट्रैक में थ्रू आउट the nerves and nerve plexus are distributed for effective peristalsis or effective movement of bowel so that the food can go through an entire process and fecal material can leave. We have two kind of neural plexus. These are, one of is the submucosal and one of the plexus is within the muscle layer. So what happens is that the enteric neuronal plexus, which develops from neural crest cells, देखिए आपको अभी fetal life की बात बता रहे हैं, that migrate into bowel wall during embryogenesis. Hirschsprung disease, which is also known as congenital aganglionic megacolon, results when this normal migration of neural crest cells from cecum to rectum is arrested. So what happens is that कि cecum से आहिस्ता आहिस्ता नीचे rectum तक सबको nerves मिलनी थी and neuronal plexus fully distribute होना था so that there was a coordinated peristaltic movement. What happens is that for some reason, maybe genetically determined, कुछ genes कहे जाते हैं, वो migration, normal migration of neural cells gets arrested. It does not occur, or it ceases prematurely. Which happens is that the ganglion cells, which were effective cells in producing those synapses or neural plexus coordination, they're like monitors of neural plexus. जिन्होंने करनी थी, या तो उनकी प्रीमेच्योर डेथ हो जाती है या वो वहां तक पहुंच ही नहीं पाते where they should have been lying to cause effective peristalsis. This results in production of a distal intestinal segment. So एक ऐसा segment बनेगा which lacks both mesenteric submucosal and Auerbach myenteric plexus. When there will be absence of these submucosal and myenteric plexus, this term is known as aganglionosis. Coordinated peristaltic contractions are absent. So basically, those sergeants or traffic sergeants which are supposed to signal and do those peristaltic coordinated movements had died or didn't reach there. So plexus effective नहीं होगा. Nerves पड़ी होंगी, ठीक है? Nerves होंगी, लेकिन ganglion cell नहीं होंगे जो synapses और coordination cause करें. So functional obstruction occurs. Basically, वहाँ पे कोई mass नहीं है, but there is no movement. So the segment which was having absent ganglion cells will be shrinked because it is not undergoing peristalsis. It is not undergoing peristalsis. It will, what happen will that the segment prior to that segment will get dilated and cause a megacolon or large colon. जो dilated part है वो basically diseased नहीं है, diseased उससे आगे का part है जो कि constricted रहा because of the absence ganglion cells. The mechanism underlying defective, but a genetic component is present in nearly all cases, and 4% of patient siblings are affected. So it is thought that कोई genetic component है, but it is today it's not very well read या very well known क्या reason इसको cause करती है and what is actually occurring. The process सिर्फ underlying आपको pathogenesis अभी तक हम इसको understand कर पाए. So then there are उसी के हिसाब से उन्होंने कुछ hypothetical या कुछ research की है which genes they encountered in patients with Hirschsprung disease. They noted like oxidation in receptor kinase, tyrosine kinase, RET gene जिसको कहते हैं, in majority familial cases. Modifying genes or environmental factors may be important. Sex-linked factors exist since the disease is more common in males. When present in females, tend to involve longer aganglionic segments. So females में वैसे तो कम होगा, but अगर होगा तो affected segments ज़्यादा होंगे, लंबे. What morphology will you see in Hirschsprung disease? Diagnosis of Hirschsprung disease requires documentation of expecting her a biopsy. He'll take a biopsy. Pathologist will see all the levels to see whether he or can see a layer, which is after extensive examination, which is labeled as that it does not contain so it is labeled Hirschsprung disease. Ganglion cells can also be identified using immunohistochemical stains. For the pathologist, I can tell you that it is one tiresome hundreds and hundreds of levels just to make sure that we can see absence को document करना ज़्यादा मुश्किल है. When it's looking for a positive finding, it's pretty easy job. आप देखते हैं बता देते हैं ये है. But looking for some very tiresome job. So what we do is we don't do it. We do it in our routine labs. We do it on hematoxylin eosine. But there are certain immunohistochemical stains such as acetylcholine esterase which identifies ganglion cells. So this is how the ganglion cell looks. ऊपर muscle layer है, नीचे muscle layer है, ये nerve plexus है, और इसके बीच में ये ganglion cell पड़ा हुआ है, which is usually a large round to polygonal pink cell, और इसका vesicular सा nucleus. Vesicular का मतलब होता है you can see across the nuclei, and is a small nucleoli. If you would like to see a ganglion cell during some practical class, हम आपको बहुत ज़्यादा आराम से appendix में नजर आ रहे होते हैं, ठीक है, appendix cross sections में. So having a ganglion cell is a normal thing. Absence of ganglion cell raises a suspicion of Hirschsprung disease in appropriate clinical settings. ये नहीं है कि आपको नजर नहीं आया तो आप कह दीजिए इस पेशेंट को Hirschsprung है. Definitely clinician अगर query raise की है तो then you will document it. Most commonly the rectum is affected, but the length of the additional involved segment varies widely. From rectum to sigmoid colon कोई भी length हो सकती है. Megacolon जैसी बनेगी. So they have to cut proximally at a point where normal innervation and ganglion cell can be noted. So what they do is the point where they decide to take it, इतना segment हमने निकाल दिया है, जो resection margin होता है या anastomosis जहाँ पे उन्होंने कटा है, they send biopsy of that margin for frozen section. This is an important point theoretically, practically, and for your paper. What is an intraoperative frozen section for Hirschsprung disease? What we do is, this margin or the anastomotic site, which the surgeon has sent to us, we immediately freeze it under certain special chemical, okay? Make a block, cut it, and analyze it right there and then. Within the 15 to 20 minutes, you see it under microscope, you look for a ganglion cell. It is a very, मतलब मेरा ख्याल है किसी pathologist के लिए बड़ा nightmare होता है when it comes, because आपकी decision पर and upon your identification of a ganglion cell, a surgeon is going to decide what an extent of cutting or surgery he is going to do. So you cannot be a little bit casual, or you have to be very sure. Either you're not looking. If you say there's no ganglion cell on frozen section, the surgeon will cut it 2 centimeters और पीछे जाता जाएगा. So you actually have to open your eyes. अगर आपका negative finding गलत हुई, the patient will be having a suffering an extra surgery and loss of segment. Once you confirm it कि ganglion cells present है, the surgeon stops the surgery there and does an anastomosis. So in his according to अब उसने पूरा disease segment को निकाल दिया. This is actually curative for this disease. So this is the operative. ये आपको देखें constricted segment नजर आ रहे हैं. Then this is the dilated part. Again, this constricted part is this one, and this is the part which is dilated. Again, repetition. This dilated part is not diseased. The diseased is this constricted part. So this constricted part has been, along with this dilated colon, which is at the verge of rupture or perforation, has been taken out. This dilated colon is known as megacolon or dilated colon. Clinical features patient typically represents with failure to pass meconium in immediate postnatal period. Obstruction or constipation may follow. Complications can be enterocolitis because वहाँ पर fecal material stagnant हो रहा है. It can lead to enterocolitis, fluid and electrolyte disturbances, perforation, and peritonitis. The primary mode of treatment is surgical resection of a ganglionic segment, followed by anastomosis of normal proximal colon to rectum. Acquired megacolon. So this was actually congenital या by birth. Acquired megacolon is if this dilated colon occurs because of some acquired process such as Chagas disease, obstruction by a neoplasm, inflammatory stricture, toxic megacolon, complicating ulcerative colitis. Don't worry about that. Visceral myopathies and in association with functional psychomotor disorders. So these are other causes other than Hirschsprung disease which are called megacolon. 3 minutes in your lecture. The common site of developmental abnormalities, GIT is a pretty common site. Atresia nymphorate venous, it is the most common type of intestinal atresia. While esophagus is the most common site of fistulization, stenosis may be developmental or acquired. Both forms are characterized by thick-walled, partial or complete luminal obstruction. Acquired forms are often due to inflammatory scarring. Diaphragmatic hernia, basically it is an incomplete diaphragm development and can lead to herniation of abdominal organs into thorax, can cause life-threatening or not compatible with life condition, that is pulmonary hyperplasia. Omphalocele and gastroschisis refer to ventral herniation of abdominal organs. Peritoneal sheath का defect होता है और organs बाहर protrude कर जाते हैं. Ectopia
I'm sorry
refers
to
to
interrupt you. Just 5 minutes left.
ठीक है. बस बेटे हम रिवीजन ही करें. आप लोगों ने ये टॉपिक्स I'll advise you because हम क्लास में lectures नहीं ले रहे. Just go through 5 or 10 minutes of these early topics in your Robbins pathology. They're pretty easy. Ectopia refers to presence of normally feed tract में का ectopic gastric tissue होता है in esophagus, the most common form. Pancreatic tissue होता है stomach के अंदर और stomach का tissue होता है in diverticulums. Mecal diverticulum, it is a blind outpouching which reflects the failed involution of right line duct. It has a rule of 2 जो हमने कहा था. It is within 2 feet of ileocecal junction. Males are twice more affected. 2% of population is affected. 2% is symptomatic. Size is usually 2 centimeter. Congenital hypertrophic pyloric stenosis is an abnormal hypertrophic presence of the muscle and it typically results in projectile vomiting within the 3rd to 6th week of life. Also more common in males. और इसका भी जो treatment है basically myotomy कर देते हैं, इस muscle को dissect कर देते हैं. The Hirschsprung disease is the absence of neural crest cells which does not, basically abnormal arrest है, नीचे तक जा नहीं पाते and there is absence of ganglion cells. It is diagnosed by biopsy by viewing the absence of ganglion cells. It can result in megacolon. It can also, it is intraoperative frozen section diagnosis is important for it to, not to determine the diagnosis, but to establish the extent of surgery. So any question?